The Joe Rogan Experience.
It's interesting that when you go to the woods to forage for plant life, it's totally legal.
Yeah.
You could sell it.
Yeah.
But if you forage for animal life, you can't do that. I think that is because of market hunting that really decimated most of the population of North American game animals in the 1800s and early into the 1900s. Like most people associate that with the death of the buffalo.
And it makes sense. And I think if there are ways to do it where it could be controlled, I don't think I could hunt enough meat for the restaurant, you know.
Right.
But
45 seats.
45 seats. But you know what? I do think that, you know, I think it's people's right to be able to eat wild meat. I think that as a human being, you have the right to try that. And if you're not a hunter, if you don't know how to go do it, you have the right to at least try it. And I do know in Newfoundland, they're allowed to serve wild game, and the hunter has to go and get a permit to sell, and then he has to bring it to a butcher that has a permit to process it and inspect it, and then that butcher can then sell it to a restaurant.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's controlled, and like I don't want to decimate the population. I don't want to hurt anything.
Is that the way to say it though? Newfoundland?
Newfoundland?
Yeah, I think it's Newfoundland. I think if you call it Newfoundland, it's like calling Chicago. They'll get pissed at you. Like,
something like that.
You're a fucking fake Canadian.
I have an aunt from there. Yeah.
Take off, eh? Yeah, I don't want market hunting of wild game. And it's because I love wild animals. I mean,
100%.
Again, why do you eat them then?
Yeah, how do you love an animal?
How do you love an animal? You
have to.
Yeah, well, I just think it's very complex.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. I think just staying alive, being a human is very complex. And I think we have very simplistic ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
I also think that it's entirely possible that plants are communicating with each other and they have a level of intelligence that we don't totally understand.
That's
supported by data.
Yeah.
That's supported by more and more research every day. They're finding out that plants have some interconnected network of communication with each other, and that they recognize when they're being eaten, and they change their flavor profile to make themselves taste terrible to animals that are eating them. There's some communication between them, and they're some sort of a primitive life form that many argue are far more complex than things that vegans won't eat, like mollusks. Like mollusks, although we think of them as animals, they're the simplest, dumbest fucking things on Earth.
Vice just did an article that questioning whether mollusks were vegan. I thought it was kind of funny.
They should be. I think for health purposes, people that are vegans, like, hey man, they're sustainable. I mean, you could farm them. You could.
And they have a cleaning property too. I've watched something that they were using mussels to clean up ocean beaches and filter the water, and and mushrooms too. Apparently, are very cleansing. They're trying to find ways to use mushrooms to clean kind of oil spills and really screwed up environmental things.
People should eat mollusks. They really should. And they should also eat eggs. Eat eggs, folks. Just eat them from ethical animals. And I'm just saying this just as a person who values health.
Yeah.
And a person who's, I put my body through a lot. My body has to perform, and it has my whole life. So I'm very, very concerned with nutrition, and I'm very aware of the impact nutrition has on physical performance. And I think eggs are gigantic. They're so goddamn good for your health. Mm-hmm. And this idea that somehow or another you're doing something cruel. My chickens are my friends. You see it from that video. That's proof in the pudding. They're not scared of me at all.
They're running around with you.
They're running around with me, and I eat their eggs, and those eggs are good for you. And I know everybody can't do that, but you can get these kind of pasture-raised eggs.
And you vote with your dollars that you're spending. You know, and if you go to the store and you buy organic eggs and you buy the healthier version, yes, you're paying an extra $1 or $2 or whatever it is, but crack open an egg from like the mass-produced place, and you crack open an egg from the organic place. One is like, the organic ones are like bright orange and like super dark, and even the yolk is like really thick. And then the other one, it's like pale and runny and like yellow, and you crack them and the yolks break sometimes, and they're just like, it's garbage. And who knows what's in them and what conditions those chickens are living in.
A lot of times terrible conditions. I think whoever started off, I mean, I guess it's just economics, right? And you give people the option to make the most amount of money and not have to account for ethics or cruelty standards or whatever issues were in place that allowed factory farms to materialize. That's one of the worst pieces of evidence about the cruelty of human beings. Yeah. It's one of the worst. It's horrific. I mean, and it's something that I think we should really collectively do something about. And
Absolutely.
I think it's one of the things that really ramps up the anger on the side of the animal rights activists and the side of the vegans.